Breaking at this hour from the state's capital, a grand jury has closed an investigation surrounding former Governor Robert Bentley.
They say loopholes in state ethics laws prevented them from indicting the former governor on other ethics charges, which they had been investigating for 2 years.
That's right, and it means Bentley will not face any further criminal charges stemming from that scandal that ultimately became his downfall.
Let's get right to Fox 10 News reporter Devan Coffaro, who is in the studio right now to break it all down for us. Devan?
Well, Byron, Lanice, this all stems from accusations that former Governor Bentley misused state funds to further an alleged affair with top advisor Rebecca Mason. Bentley had already pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanors last year, avoiding potential prison time, and since then, a special grand jury has been investigating several other allegations against him, but found no evidence for criminal charges.
Had there been evidence to support any additional charges, we would have brought them. I'm a career prosecutor. This is what I do.
Special Assistant Attorney General Ellen Brooks says since July 2016, a special grand jury has been investigating several accusations against former Governor Bentley, including ethics violations, abuse of power, witness tampering, and much more.
Review of over 100,000 documents, more than 100 witness statements.
Less than a year after the grand jury was formed,
time for me to step down as Alabama's governor.
Bentley resigned and took this smiling mugshot after pleading guilty to knowingly converting campaign contributions to personal use and failing to file a major contribution report. Brooks says after another year of investigating, the grand jury found no other charges are warranted.
Either there were insufficient facts to support them, or there were facts there, but the acts themselves were not a crime under our state law.
Brooks ending the press conference saying they did the best they could with the laws they have.
The law does not prohibit the governor from initiating, directing, or even receiving reports from ALEA for illegal or corrupt practices, for instance, illegal political gain or benefit. That is a relationship that the grand jury has asked the state to look at to determine if we can do better to prevent this type behavior.
And the special grand jury also cleared allegations against former ALEA Secretary Spencer Collier and Bentley's nonprofit organization AceGov. The report also stating the grand jury found a number of serious concerns with the current state laws that they're hoping the legislature will consider changing. Lanice?
All right, thanks, Devin. The special counsel, Ellen Brooks, also addressing the loopholes today, saying the Ethics Act does not cover intimate relationships outside of marriage.
In other words, if I were under investigation and my spouse did something illegal that I helped to facilitate, it would be covered. But if I had a boyfriend, it would not be.
Our investigative reporter Katie Weiss learning more about the gaps in the law, joining us now from the newsroom. And Katie, you spoke with lawmakers about that.
That's right, I did, Lenny. State Representative Ed Henry, who spearheaded the movement to impeach Bentley last year, tells me he believes the ethics laws are too vague and need to be addressed. Henry said when the state legislature updated the ethics laws back in 2010, he said there was, quote, never an intention to restrict the law to only spouses. Now, the spousal stipulation wasn't the only law that got in the way of prosecutors in the Bentley scandal. Brooks said the law allows non-government personnel to perform functions of a public employee while receiving payment from a private entity for that work, which is something that could have applied to Rebecca Mason's position as an advisor to the governor while being paid by a separate private fund. Representative Henry tells me he's hoping to see a serious ethics law overhaul next year.
They're way too vague. I mean, at the end of the day, the ethics laws are entirely too vague for good prosecution and for good legislators to know what they can and cannot do. And the legislature really needs to come back in 2019 legislative session and clean them up. And I think you've got a few people out there that are going to be willing to take that challenge on.
Now, the grand jury also pointed out in its report today that the governor is allowed by law to direct, initiate, or receive reports on criminal investigations for the governor's illegitimate political purposes. You might remember the state's former top cop, Spencer Collier, accused Governor Bentley of directing him to lie about a criminal investigation. Now, we'll, of course, let you know if legislators do decide to make any changes to these loopholes in the laws. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Katie Weiss, Fox 10 News.
All right, and so what are the key events in Robert Bentley's time as governor that led to all of this? Bentley was elected to office in January 2011. Then, 3 years later, in March 2014, his wife, First Lady Diane, secretly recorded phone calls between Bentley and a woman, presumably aide Rebecca Mason.
You know what? When I stand behind you and I put my arms around you and I put my hands on your breast and pull you in real close, I love that too.
In August 2015, Diane filed for divorce. In March of the next year, Bentley fired Spencer Collier as head of the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. The next day, Collier publicly alleges a romantic relationship between Bentley and Mason. Bentley said he did make mistakes, but denied having an affair with Mason. April 6th of last year, the Ethics Commission found probable cause Bentley violated ethics and campaign finance laws amid scandal. Then on the 7th, Bentley told everyone he was not resigning. But 3 days later, he did, after pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges.